I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
And the bedrock of the band, you know, when Felix and Tiger started, like Megatrain, or started writing songs, whatever, like 10 years ago, and like Divorce started a band, did you at some point have that conversation where you're like, okay, you know, you're not going to be hired guns, we're going to be a collaborative four?
That's from the get-go, really.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I remember receiving a message from, I think you, Felix, that said, can we have a chat? And I was like, what have I done wrong? And then he was like, do you want to be in a band? And I was like, actually, yeah, that's really nice, let's do that.
I think we knew that, like, the whole point of us starting a band and it not just being me and Tiger as a duo was like to have that shared responsibility and a bit more of a broader church of like ideas and suggestions and also like taking responsibility for like, I don't know, just the amount of work that it is to like go on a tour or be kind of responsible for your own like playing, or like it's a lot of work, and it means that all four of us have to be on it. Yeah.
And there's got to be some kind of satisfaction in trust. You know, when you put your trust in a friend, or you know, you're going on holiday, you're renting a car. You know, there is fun in all being part of something, because you're not getting paid for it from the start, at least. 101 part-time jobs. Everyone knows that if you're playing in a band, you're working other side hustles, just scraping how to make it work, because the thing that you're trying to do is kind of bigger than all the rest of that.
Yeah.
So there is a reason you're doing it. But I find it really specifically interesting is that sometimes it's quite hard to like sum up that feeling, like why you feel so dedicated to playing music.
I actually wrote all about that in our mailer that is going to be going out soon, and all about why the feeling is basically the only reason and rhyme to being an artist, because it's not for the money and it's not for it being like sensible. It's a feeling, and you feel like you have to do it. And I'm really glad that we have the privilege to be able to do it. It's very hard. Like when we started Divorce, you know, we were all working full or part-time jobs, and we still do bits and bobs, and we will probably have to do stuff again that isn't music to make money. But you know, things have gone very well for us, I think, like in the grand scheme of banddom. And we've got to record an album that we're really proud of in a way that we wanted to, and that is what we hope will take us forward and, like, you know, keep the project going. But yeah, it is, you can't put into words why you want to be a musician. It is just the feeling, like, as I think David Lynch once championed, it's all about feeling.
Is
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. David Lynch. Is that feeling of like reconciling, because we're only human, right? We have our good days and we have our Monday mornings where we're like, fuck, everything's shy. How do you, like, individually and as a collective, how do you reconcile with those days? Because I imagine it's not just one day like, okay, this is hard, but it doesn't matter. You know, you're going to have this flux. You're human.
I think you have to check in with each other all the time. Like, that is part of, I think, being a band, and like keeping things healthy between the four of us and between the five of us with our manager too. It's like we work very intimately all the time, and we have to check in, have those like difficult conversations before they're too difficult. I think we're all people that believe in like I don't know, dealing with things and being transparent with each other and being, we're trying to be as truthful as we can as musicians, and like that starts between all four of us, and like being kind to each other and looking after each other. You can't really do that if you're, I don't know, you're not having conversations openly together. Yeah.
Paying attention to it.
Yeah, and like acknowledging when things are difficult.
Yeah. On tour especially, it's like the weirdness of tour is that you're spending so much time driving and doing like really, really, really boring stuff, and then you spend an hour like doing like the best thing ever, and like the peaks and the troughs of that can make you feel like absolutely insane sometimes. And you just like you feel like I was on such a high about 13 hours ago, and now I feel like I'm going insane.
Yeah, and then there's like one free seat in the van. There's 8 of us in a 9-seater van, and then like we're all sharing hotel rooms. So it's like you don't get any personal space.
No.
So there are mornings where you just wake up and you're like, I want to kill everyone, but obviously you don't. But like you have to allow each other to have days like that, and be like, oh, okay, no, they're just feeling a bit overwhelmed and stressed.
Yeah. I heard a good piece of advice recently, which was if someone is going through a difficult time, you can ask them, do you want advice or do you want a hug? And I think that's good. I think
that's great.
I thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
We should do that.
We just fight physically, wrestle until somebody gets really hurt, and then...
I mean, the rest is nice, but that is the ultimate way.
It's about dominance, I think, like asserting who's the leader, who's the alpha.
It's a
To
classic.
me,
Watching Yellowstone, and there was an episode where 2 cowboys were like, they just hated each other's guts, and the thing that they did was like, we'll just get them in the ring, and they'll just fight out of them, every inch of it, and they just beat the crap out of each other until they were just too tired to carry on.
You can't argue with that.
That's what we need to do.
obviously it's normally me that comes out on top.
It is.
We
We all
all
know
most
that.
energy.
I just am very quick, you're all callous and clumsy guys, and my pace is outstanding, and my athleticism is it's off the chart, and you can't compete with it. You can try. I'm also the youngest, so I think that probably helps.
We're all getting on a bit.
Yeah,
I did read that in the divorce Reddit thread.
They're all a bit old.
They're all
Wake up pretty early to get Tiger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh right, no, not
dirty
all of it.
tactics are used as well quite often. Underhand.
Yeah, Tiger's
Stuff,
very
dirty
underhand.
tactic can't tell.
I respect it.
I think about how we all have like touchstones, like whether it's like a first gig you went to, or like first venue that you went to that gave you that sort of bug of music or playing or being creative. I forget whose parents ran the theatre. Was it you, Felix?
Well, they run a theatre company, so they run like a touring theatre company. They still do.
That's great. A touring theatre company.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's called Odd Socks Productions, and
So
they're brilliant.
At any time, how many people have they like employed? Like, what's the cast number? What's the full picture?
They have traditionally always done like 2-3 month tours a year. So one in the summer and one in the winter. Outdoors in the summer, indoor in the winter. Kind of touring on like a really similar scale to what we're doing. Like the venue caps vary, and like depending on where they are.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it really is like they've been like over the kind of 40 years that they've been running, they've received basically no arts council funding or like very, very little like support. It really has been a lesson in like running a company and making it work, and like they've like raised a family, and like they bought a house, and like it's really cool. It's a really cool example to have, because like now I go home and like we chat about our jobs, and it's basically like having the same job.
And inspiring to see that you can do it. I think a lot of musicians don't really know anyone in their personal life before outside of music that does something like that.
Yeah, totally.
Because it is like an alternative way of living.
Yeah, really, really strange. Like I grew up feeling like very, like my family was very strange, and sometimes that was kind of like I was embarrassed about it, but I think it's amazing. And like, yeah, it was always like Christmas dinner it was always like me, my family, and a bunch of actors that I didn't really know, or some of them I knew.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and they've been amazing, like in terms of like when we started, like the number of times like we've like borrowed like props and costumes off them.
Yes.
Or like
Pedals even.
Yeah, there was
my bass amp is still your dad's bass amp.
My dad picked up the bass like a few years ago. They're amazing though. Like they're always like trying new things.
The rest of you, have you seen that and thought that's ace? Like it's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's mainly annoying. It's really annoying. No, I'm joking. I think what it has given you is the it's made touring slightly easier. I think you seem to cope with it in a really good way. I guess because you've grown up around that. I think a lot of us, me especially, have just been like, what the hell is this way of living? I don't know how to do this. But then you quickly just have to like change your body clock and
Yeah, it's in your blood. Truly,
it's in your blood.
It feels easier to be on the road sometimes than not. I think.
You've been on the road,
which is also a problem.
so much.
Yeah,
so much. So you need a lot of costume changes.
Oh my god, clothes are actually the bane of my life.
Yeah.
Because I've got a weird like fixation in my head that I don't want to repeat an outfit, but that doesn't mean buying a new outfit every time. It means just swapping like one thing round, and I just try and make it a challenge that on a tour I don't wear the same thing, and it's just getting harder because the tours are getting longer, and I don't have like infinite budget to buy clothes, so I'm just wearing weird stuff. Like I just lose perspective and I start wearing weird stuff, and that's just tour, man.
Is it any coincidence that it's London Fashion Week right now?
Well, obviously I'll be walking the runways as I always do.
In your new free shoes.
In my new free shoes, and everything's free, you know, for me, fighter and model. But yeah, gladiator, fighter, model,
warrior,
daughter, son, uncle.
It's creative. I grew up thinking, I don't know what fashion is, I'm just going to do black jeans, black t-shirt, and of course that's a fashion in itself, and that is like, you can't really get away from it
goth.
Unless you're naked and you live in the woods. You really, you know, what you wear says something about you.
You have to make a decision at some point, whether it's a decision that you're like, I don't really care, I'll just wear this every single day.
Like Bart Simpson.
Like Bart Simpson. Yeah, like all of the Simpsons, in fact.
They all wear the same thing.
Yeah.
But they all look great.
You guys are very colourful. The music videos are great.
Yeah.
There's this kind of, I haven't landed on the right word for it. It's kind of maybe a bit bombastic, doesn't quite cover it. Surrealist doesn't quite cover it. What word do you use in your like creative direction pieces? What language?
I think we all try and like get our own identity across, and sometimes that clashes slightly visually, but I think that's okay because we're all different and we're all adults in this band, and we don't always want to look the same. But I do think we're also pretty inherently theatrical people.
Thespians.
But I also think there's not always a lot of forethought in the aesthetics, and it's more just like what we feel like is the right thing for us and what we feel comfortable in.
It's kind of like, also we've all spent so much time around each other that every now and again we'll turn up and we're all wearing like primary colours.
Yeah. That's happening more and more recently.
Like Wiggles.
Or Black
We're kind of the
Road.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Famously colourful band.
Yeah.
They do it quite well with the clashing thing.
Yeah.
They sort of clash, but it's sort of...
They're just like a group of mates.
Yeah.
They're all quite
nice.
They're kind of quite fashionable people. And I think that, like, it's nice when you see people just dressing like themselves, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
We've done things before where we've been like styled, I guess, and like it's felt like, you know, purely our fault, but like maybe not what we have necessarily wanted to be wearing. And I think you can just tell, or even if people on the outside can't tell, we can tell, and we have to look at those photos. So I think we've made it a bit of a policy now of being like, whoever wants to be styled can be styled, but whoever doesn't want to be styled doesn't have to be styled and can just wear what they want. And that just works better for us, I think.
You know, anyone seeing a photo of themselves is going to look at the things they don't like about themselves. That must be quite difficult, where that's such a big part of what you do. You're always seeing imagery of you.
I hate it sometimes. I really hate it.
Understandable.
Yeah, I've like really struggled with that, I think, over the past couple of years. Like, I've got really low at times because I've had to see so much of my own face all the time.
Mm.
And I feel very lucky that we've all been able to talk about that and share those moments, and like not and like we're very. I think I feel very supported by the rest of the band when we are in doing a shoot or something, because I know that we're all kind of like keeping an eye on each other and want each other to feel comfortable. Because
what do you do with your hands?
I know
That's the hardest thing in the world to me. I always just put them away somewhere behind my back, and then someone's like, "Do you want to do something else with your hands?" I'm like, "Yeah, but what? Tell me what."
I actually quite like photo shoots.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fun,
but like,
But you also all
I
don't
think
have to have the same. You know, you work together.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I guess for me, and everybody's different on this front. But The Devil Wears Prada was my favourite film when I was a kid, and I think there's still a little child part of me that's like, yes, camera, let's go. But sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, what was I doing? Like, we're musicians, not like, and sometimes it can be difficult to feel like you're prioritising the music and not just thinking about the aesthetics, and the music is the most important thing.
They come together.
They do.
Because it's the taste of it. You know, when you see a photo, it's the taste of what you hear. You know, they are. It is a package. Even like something like hardcore punk, right? A lot of that sort of imagery has the taste of hardcore punk. You know, which ostensibly is like kind of anti-fashion, right? But it's still a design. It's still a feel. It's a texture, whatever you want to call it.
It still requires thought, even if it's supposed to be like rebellious, and even at its most rebellious, it still requires thought and visual consideration. And we still care about, we all like clothes, and
yeah, for sure.
You're a pretty fashionable guy. You've got a bit of a reputation.
I'm all about
for
fashion.
your wardrobe.
No, I do like dressing up. It's fun. But it's interesting you mentioning the bad days, the off days, because those are the days that are hardest to like be observed, because we are in this job observed all the time. Even though we are musicians, like we're on stage, we're in magazines, we're in interviews on YouTube and in music videos, and on those off days, you really have to dig deep to try and find that motivation to get on the stage.
Dig deep to slay.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel sexy.
Yeah,
everyone
feel good.
Wants to feel sexy,
even if
feel good, or whatever you want to say it, however you want to say
You're
it.
kind of
Or to just feel
expected
comfortable.
Yeah, just to feel like normal. I think because sometimes when you're like, it's so easy to just overthink, and then feel disingenuous. I can never say that word, disingenuous.
You can.
You just said it. You nailed it.
Yeah, I had to think about it.
This is your support
really hard. Thanks, guys. I feel held.
later.
Let's hold space for my lack of word.
What's your I often, when I'm walking down the street, go to check if my flies are undone, and usually they're always up, but it looks like I'm fondling myself.
How many shows have we done where my flies have been undone?
I've counted 71.
They were undone for the whole London show.
Were they really?
Yeah, and I didn't realise until after the show.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
It's happened to me a lot.
I didn't notice.
I didn't know.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah,
and that's
good.
the problem. We
I've
didn't
never
tell
had it
you.
pointed out to me, but I've realised after shows sometimes. I don't know if you've got loose zips.
Yeah, do they? You reckon you're starting with them undone, or whether they're coming undone during the gig?
I don't know.
It's the power of rock, bringing them down.
The record is absolutely phenomenal. It is a masterpiece. I've listened to it maybe 10 times in the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
And I know that I'm not done listening with it yet.
Amazing.
I have two particular moments that make me feel spectacular. There's one where, what is it? It's the track that goes dun 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 dun.
All My Freaks.
All My Freaks, obviously. And then there's the one with you after, I think it's Pill, where it breaks down into piano.
Quiet Time.
And your voice has a reverb on it until it doesn't.
Yeah, that's my favourite bit.
That is a Catherine Marks special. Shout out to Catherine Marks for being producer extraordinaire.
Could you please tell us about that one moment on the album?
So Uphill, it was definitely like the most fun to arrange for me personally. I remember I brought it to Felix, like just lyrics and chords, and I was like, I want it to be in 3 parts, really, really different. I'm not sure exactly how yet, and we worked on it as a 4, and it just worked. And when it goes from the big like guitar moment and then it just kind of like drops straight out, I'm so proud of that song, like for what it's about, but also like the arrangement was a risk, and I think but it ended up being so like special that we decided to make it like a single. And I think, I don't know, I feel like it was such a combined effort, and I felt so trusted with what I thought maybe would be quite a silly idea in the beginning that might not work. But that particular bit of vocal production, I think we just wanted to make it like the most intimate, delicate, vulnerable piece maybe on the whole album. And that bit where the reverb just like kind of gets like sucked off it, Catherine, great work.
So clever.
Yeah.
And it is so vulnerable, and it's a real signpost. It's like a left turn in the album, because after that it gets all weird and stuff.
It does get pretty weird.
What was the weirdest song for you?
Oh, it's like the last 3.
Oh, yeah.
The weirdest.
They are pretty weird.
The last 3.
Broken String, Where Do You Go, and Mercy as a 3 are like, they kind of, it's the most dynamic that the album gets.
It's the Tom Waits section.
Yeah.
It's the it's like you lost the electric guitars and you only had acoustic or piano. You got confiscated your gear.
You're not allowed.
You mentioned there, Tiger, that it's like a out there idea. Like, surely the whole thing is an out there idea.
As in the track or the album?
All the album, like everything you write is like
being in a band is a pretty out there idea.
Yeah.
Well, it was the most fun I've ever had recording that album, because it was so creative, and we could have tried really, really hard to make it cohesive, but I think naturally it was cohesive, even if it has, you know, a lot of very different moments and vibes on it. I think subconsciously it was cohesive. Like, it's all about the same stuff. Like, we were all having the same experiences when we wrote and developed it. So that's like the ultimate offering, really. It's like we weren't trying to make a concept album or like work too hard on keeping things on one level or something so that it was like really distinctively us. I think it just, those choices made it us. And I mean, yeah, I guess I am a real believer that nothing is like as out there as you think it is while you're doing it in the studio. And when people hear it, they're like, usually they'll be like, oh, it's Divorce. If they know who we are, like, it's not that crazy, but it's just crazy to us because we're used to what we do.
There's some crazy sounds in it, some good guitar sounds, talented players.
Thanks.
Yeah, you know your pentatonics.
Well, it's funny. Like, I don't think me or Adam learnt guitar in like a traditional way of like I never learnt scales or anything.
Yeah, basically I taught myself pretty much.
Yeah.
I had like a year of learning in school. Shout out to my old guitar teacher, David Atkins. I think his name was David. He was the craziest guy. He was so crazy. Smelt of tobacco so strongly, and I was just a kid at the time, and I was like, why does he smell like that? And he taught me how to play Blackbird and that song Mizzaloo.
Really?
Yeah. And those were the. It's like the.
You're really good at that.
That's amazing.
That
Yeah.
was
Tongue skills.
incredible. Yeah, cool.
And then that's all the teaching I had. And then I'd started learning Tenacious D songs when I was a teenager, and then it all went downhill from there.
Do you think there's something in not learning how a song is supposed to be written that allows you to like write a sort of an original piece of music of your own?
I think there's a real beauty to naivety when it comes to like how we got together as a band and how we started writing together and making music together, because I'm an acoustic guitar player, really. I hadn't really picked up an electric guitar before I joined this band.
Same here. Yeah.
I had never played bass.
You never played bass?
Like, I'm not joking. Before this band existed, I'd never picked a bass up.
Yeah, that
like,
still blows my mind.
and
I think
I don't know. Sometimes I'm standing on stage playing, and I'm like, I should not be doing
completely
this.
dissociating.
We need to get off this stage right now. But you just do it, don't you?
Did you play guitar before?
Nope.
No.
I did play guitar a little bit when I was about 16, but I never really progressed. I play a bit of keys, not very well, I'm not very practiced, but I understood like the basic theory of how to play keys from having some piano lessons as a kid.
That is fantastic. The absolute gumption.
I know.
To be
But it's
like-
pretty punk, isn't it? Like, I
yeah.
was like, you know what?
I remember when you
It's
said it.
bass.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Play the root notes.
Yeah.
That's
Which you did
Soul singer, world bass player,
That's what
that.
you
to
did.
start
We were
with,
like,
I
that's
got on
fine.
with that.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It's still really hard because I'm singing as well. But yeah, we're all kind of.
That's the fun thing about it.
also is
Yeah.
not his primary
I'm not a drummer.
instrument is a guitar.
I hadn't played drums in 8 years before I joined Divorce.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. He just mentioned it in a pub one night.
That I used to play
a
drums.
couple of months before we came up with the idea to start the band, and we were like, Casper, I think you said he played drums.
Yeah, I think you're like, do you still play drums? And I was like, sure.
This is like the travelling theatre production of people who have sort of like found their ways in being actors
Yeah.
by doing it.
Yeah, just have a good old go. And
Yeah,
It's like,
Tigers
it's
are
like a Knight's
funk
Tale.
Odysseys.
I feel like we're the Knight's Tale group.
We're
The
very-
next-
Yeah, in a Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Never seen
It's a
that.
really good film.
It's a great film. Watched it the other
Watch
day.
it.
Putting that in the context of being part of like a big label, being part of Gravity, which is a part of EMI, is that right? And you're in the building. We're in the Universal building right now.
Yes.
You are in big music.
yes,
Mhm.
it's a major label.
I love that you are that band that is in this building.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's cool that we've been given that faith, I think, and yeah, we've been really lucky to have the support of a company that big
Big music.
music.
I like big music. It's good.
Yeah, and I think also Gravity have been really important because like they're essentially an indie label working with a major label, and most of our kind of interactions and certainly all the creative conversations happen with Gravity, and I think we've felt like really supported by that.
And it's an ambitious album.
Mm.
And I just love all those things. It's almost like an unlikely tale, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Mm.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah,
Mm.
the underdog.
A motley crew.
And
None of us saw it coming in any way.
Yeah, we've done things that we could never even have contemplated.
Sounds like we've
dreaming
done
of.
awful things.
We've done a lot of terrible
We've done
things.
that we never thought
We've
we
sold
could
ourselves
do.
to get to this point, and so basically, you have to do bad things to get the good things for yourself. Is what I'm saying.
It's been really great doing it with Gravity. They put a lot of trust in us. They basically didn't touch the music. They made suggestions like on the singles front, but I think that they saw that we were already kind of product in and of itself.
Need to go
Like
to
we
market.
were like we'd all been in music for a while. And we were like, they came up to Leeds as well to see us play for the
Yeah,
first
that
time,
was
and
really
that was a
amazing.
big like tick for us because they came out of London to see us, and we were like, that's so nice. Come all this way, and they're just good guys as well.
And what does it mean, like that support? There's personal, there's like financial, because everything costs money to make these great music videos that you've been making that are funny and they look great and they've been well thought out and the production's excellent. That all
Thank you.
requires a bit of cashish.
It does.
It does. We won't lie. It does cost money to get everybody paid. It costs money because people put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think prior to us having support from a label, we had a lot of really nice friends who did us things very, very cheaply or free, and we were extremely lucky to get that. I don't think that we would be where we are without people doing stuff for free. And I'm so grateful for that. Still am. Who knows? One day we might have to go back. Be like, excuse me? Can we do this for free now?
You've got this big tour coming up. You're playing Coco on the 9th of April.
Yes.
And that venue is beautiful.
We were there just
we went today.
a couple of hours ago. It's so amazing.
What's it like? Tell me the feeling of walking into that room.
Pretty wild.
It was like a night at the opera for divorce.
Knowing that you're going to be there in a few weeks.
Feels very silly.
Yeah.
I went like this.
Extremely silly.
Yikes.
Yikes. Yeah, it's a big room, and we've played some big rooms, but usually support. It'll be the biggest room we've ever played, headline,
And the most
for
beautiful,
sure. And yeah.
I would say.
Islington Assembly Hall was very beautiful.
That was very
Stunning.
beautiful
but
in a very different way.
maybe even Coco is more beautiful than that.
The finishes were immaculate.
Yeah,
That's what
Adam is a carpenter.
So, yeah, when I'm not banding, I'm a joiner,
Mm.
and I just see all the details and everything.
Mm.
Oh, the finishes were amazing.
It
The
is
trims,
beautiful
It was
building.
the chamfers,
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Very red.
very red.
Very
I like
red.
the boxes.
Yeah,
I've heard
so
there may
nice.
be a box in 101's name.
We're gonna
We're
work
holding
on
you a
that.
box.
We're gonna, yeah.
We're holding you in a box.
Yeah.
What's it like
Holding
being
you
a
in a box.
carpenter? This is the place to talk about it, and we haven't mentioned it yet.
What's it like?
What's it like being a carpenter? Yeah.
Really satisfying. It's a very satisfying job. That's how I can describe it. It's very
Is that 'cause
satisfying.
you have to really, you can't really be a millimetre out, can you? If you're,
You can't.
Why are you
You
laughing?
can't be a millimeter out.
So I just had a memory. Carry on.
If you're a millimeter out, you're fired, mate. You're off site. No, I'm not really a site joiner. I'm like a bespoke. I make like bespoke furniture, like wardrobes and cabinets and that sort of thing.
That is sick. What was the last thing that you made, or what was the most exciting, most recent thing that you made?
I could tell you the last thing I made is for a very sweet guy called John, and I made like a new set of stairs into his bathroom, and did like a bespoke cupboard, like airing cupboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's amazing watching him work. Like I did a couple of like days of like helping, just being the idiot helping, like because I have no level of expertise, but you needed an extra pair of hands to move some wood, and I was just like watching him, and I was like, whoa, this guy's so good. like it's so like the level of detail, your eye for shit.
Of course.
Cool.
This is an adult
And like your
podcast.
speed with it, like you're so like that.
I get in the zone. I do
Yeah,
get
You
in
have
the
you
a
get
zone.
in
steadiest hand.
Very
all
steady
time.
hands.
I catch myself in the zone sometimes, and I'm like, whoa. I've been in the zone for about 8 hours. I need to get out of the zone.
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
A really lovely tool selection as well. Like
Thanks,
like
man.
the best tools. They're so nice. Like I want to touch them all and like look at them.
Sick.
They're such nice objects.
I was laughing earlier. I just wanted to quickly tell you why I was laughing. It's because we were in a green room once, and I have a video of it on my phone, which I'll send you after this. But I think a radiator had like fallen off, and Adam fixed it back on, and then Casper sung a little impromptu song that was like, "The carpenter's hands will fix everything in your life," and then he broke the radiator again.
But it just fell off the wall.
Yeah, I wasn't anywhere near it.
It fell off the wall.
It's a very good video.
Clapped his hands.
You can end the podcast with that video.
No, we are definitely, we're not ending here. We've only just begun.
No, sorry, no, I didn't mean that. I just meant you could edit it in at the end.
Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to cut you off.
So we're done here?
We're done.
So we're done.
I just want to ask, getting into carpenting and working for yourself, a lot of people, that's sort of one of the few things outside that I can think of that isn't like plumbing or something that still has apprenticeships. By the way, I just want to say, I think it's really bad that the UK doesn't really have as many apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I wish I'd done an apprenticeship or learned a trade.
You actually get paid and learn something. Like,
Yeah.
I know.
Rather than-
obviously, let's do that.
Yeah.
In other countries in Europe, they're a lot better at that. But what's your story, Adam?
My story is I don't really know any other way of making money. I've always just been self-employed. I had like 2 jobs when I was a teenager, and since then I've just worked for myself. But
Who taught you?
I taught myself how to joiner.
Madness.
Recently, relatively as well.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere. I mean, there were a few
set
like.
design at uni, right?
So I did film design, yeah, at uni. But I didn't really do anything remarkably like crafty or like practical. I didn't even own a drill. I didn't even know what drill was. there was a funny story that I told someone the other day, because it still like baffles a lot of people when I haven't seen, when you haven't seen someone in like 10 years, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm a joiner, I'm also in a band. And they'll be like, a joiner? They'll be like, you're like the guy that used to busk, like, and because they used to know me, they'd be like, you're not practical at all. And I really wasn't back then. I was absolutely useless. And I remember putting a shelf up for a girl I was dating at the time, and she was like, oh, I think we need like 2 screws. And I was like, well, you go to Screwfix for that. And I went to Screwfix, bought like 200 screws, tried to fix this shelf on the wall. It just fell off immediately, and it just didn't work.
Because you didn't use all 200 screws.
Yeah. You now know that you need to use 200
you need 200 screws to put one shelf up
for every
per shelf. But it was lockdown basically, because I was a busker for like 10 years, and then lockdown hit, and I couldn't really do that anymore. So
You were making money off busking?
I was, yeah. I made a living from it.
Damn.
I used to travel up and down the country.
Whoa. This deserves a whole thing of itself. Like how
I've lived many lives.
both those
traveling
things,
bard's work is never
quite
done.
full send of dedication and like backing yourself.
Yeah, I don't really know how that came about. I think it was out of desperation for money, I guess, and I was sort of. I've played gigs since I can remember, but then someone was like, "You should try busking," and I tried it, and it worked. And
When you got like, how much do you get the first? Do you remember how much you made the first day or the first month? Or
I can tell you that the least amount I made in a day would probably be about like 20 quid, and the most amount I've ever made would be nearly like 500 quid.
Yes,
Yeah,
That's good.
what were the and I just want to ask one more question, because we got 3 more of you to ask about jobs. But how would you know? Would you kind of, if you're in Liverpool, would you play Beatles songs? If you're in London, I mean, would you play Kinks? Would you kind of geographically work out where to go and what to play?
no, I quickly realised that it's kind of a bit of a gimmick. Like, no shade on buskers that do that sort of thing, but I found that people engaged with what I was doing more when I was playing songs that were more true to me, and I'd play some of my own songs, and I'd play like covers that I sort of fell in love with, like weird, like deep cut Ray LaMontagne songs that no one would ever know, but if that one person knew it, they would stand there for like half an hour and listen to the music I was playing, and just having like beautiful, profound experiences with complete strangers and connecting on a level. Maybe that's why I make music.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
man.
really nice.
But lockdown was the time where I was like, oh, I need to change my career. So I switched to joinery, and
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven. That's what I said when I finished that guy's stairs. Stairway to Heaven.
Tiger, how have you been an adult?
Well, been an adult for 10 years. I'm nearly 11.
You're nearly 11.
I'm nearly 11. Well, I'm nearly 11, so as in jobs.
Yeah, like working it out. I mean, to me, being an adult is like having enough money to pay rent.
Yeah.
And having somewhat of like a healthy lifestyle, like physically and mentally.
Well, I didn't get any support from my parents. Little violin. And I grew up with my parents not having much money, and I think that gave me quite a profound awareness of money from a young age, and seeing them sort of worry about it made me really not want to worry about it, which is why I went into the arts. But I also was really encouraged by them to be a musician, and they saw something in me from a young age and pushed me toward where I am now, and so I can't really thank them enough for that. They're definitely people that like prioritized raising a family over having like big careers, and subsequently like I had a lot of them in my life, and like my parents were very present when I was growing up, which like was also great. And then I think when I got to 16, I just sort of worked odd jobs, got fired a few times, but moved out at like 18, and then The last job I had before I went to uni at Goldsmiths, I think I spoke to you about this last time I was on the podcast.
You
but
just started uni at that point.
I've dropped out now, but I was there for just under a year. But before that, I worked at a cinema, which was all right. It's pretty iconic cinema in Nottingham, Broadway cinema, which is it's a really cool art cinema. It kind of struggles to make money. And working there was really interesting. I watched a lot of films, but it was just a bar job. I mean, I respect people that work in the service industry so much because I did it for a long time and it was my sole income for like a long time. And I kind of miss it in some ways. I don't miss it in other ways. I love doing music full time. I would kind of like to, I don't know, if I needed to make money again, I probably would have to go back to the service industry because that's what I've got experience in. Or
fighting. You're a good
fighting,
Yeah.
I just do that for the love of it. I do not accept pay for that. That's a passion project.
You could make a lot of money
Yeah.
fighting.
You could
Well,
monetize.
We've said it
I was
before.
going to say, I've always sort of fancied myself as a hairdresser a little bit. So if I was going to go and learn a trade, that's what I'd do.
Have I ever told you that I was nearly a hairdresser?
What?
Yeah. Like in my 20s.
You'd be a great hairdresser.
I was I used to know this guy. I still know this guy called Sid.
Sid Sottong?
Sid Sottong, yeah.
I know Sid Sottong.
And I used to like model for him. He used to do like barbering classes. And I was so very close to becoming a hairdresser. Because he was like, oh, you can just come and do the course for free. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. That seems to be the main entry point to the job, right? Do the course and hopefully
Right.
get an apprenticeship slash sort of entry level job.
Mm.
Sign up to Wacky Barmers in Soho. Be like a wacky hairdresser.
that just
yeah,
does what
kooky.
they want.
Just like, yes.
I just
that should be
open a
thing.
salon and be like, I'm just going to cut your hair and you're going to like it.
Like blindfold them, just
Yeah.
do whatever the
Surprise
hell you want.
cut.
I think a lot of people will be up for that because a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know. You know, you're not 12 years old going in with a photo of David Beckham anymore.
Mhm.
You know, how
Well,
many
I do
people-
that.
I go in
We
with
all
a
do
picture
that.
there.
Which era are you in right now?
The Mohawk one.
Nice.
But
wait.
they never seem to get it right.
They never do.
They never do.
You never look
Yeah,
like
I
what they
do.
do in the photos.
Yeah.
It's because you're not David Beckham, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll be it.
Are you still gardening?
No, I'm not. I am just doing music. For the moment. Don't know how long that will last. I imagine that I probably would go back to gardening if I need to get a job again.
Mhm.
Might do pretty soon.
Or fighting or hairdressing?
Maybe
Maybe that could be it. You've got quite a few numbers on the socials now. Maybe that would be a great place to market your new trade.
Yeah. What? So like.
You two
Gardening.
start up or just all four of you really. I don't know why you two, but
Yeah. I mean, I'd be a useless fighter.
I remember once me and Felix mainly was doing it, but you were helping a man clear his house out. And I came for one day with you to help. And then we were like, let's start a business, like de-hoarding. We could still do that.
We're very good at that, I think. I really enjoyed doing stuff like that where you're like working with people, trying to make their day better. That's the nicest bit of gardening is when like there's an old lady who like loves her garden and can't really get about anymore, and you like. I kind of hate lawns. I think lawns should be a thing of the past.
Rewild them.
what would be
Yeah.
instead of a lawn?
Long grass?
Well, like let the grass grow long. Cut it like once or twice a year. Like you
Are
could.
you talking about like the sort of the kept on top of lawn?
Yeah, just like very like it's not very good for wildlife, or it's bad for wildlife.
It's an ecological desert.
Yeah, it is
lawn.
an ecological desert. So get rid of your lawn. But hey, there are a lot of people who take a lot of pride in their gardens, and quite often older people, and when they've like not got a lot of money or like they can't really get about anymore, and like the one thing they really pride themselves is having their like lawn really nice. It was like so satisfying to go and mow their lawn and have a cup of tea with them and a chat.
I saw someone, a bloke outside of his house washing his car last Sunday morning with like scrubber and soap. I thought there are some things that make you that car's going to get dirty the next day. There's no real reason to do it.
But he probably it might last a bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, the paint job?
Yeah,
Or just a general,
or like
wear and tear.
you might be able to sell it for a bit more.
Yeah.
I do think there's
It's good to
something.
keep on top of stuff.
Yeah, we don't tend
Little
to
and
look
often.
after
Little and often.
things very much anymore. Things are very disposable, and I do think that like older generations looked after things a lot more because it was not really the thing to get loads of a thing and then it just like to chuck it out.
That's one of the things with like
seeing people
mending
like older people wearing like a shirt and trousers to watch TV and stuff. It's a sense of like, you know, presenting yourself respectably, and I think that car analogy it's like, you know, want it to look great, the best it can look. And I think, younger generation, certainly me, I'm not keeping my car clean. I don't have a car, but if I had one, it would be a tip. It would be a garbage tip.
we live in the world of vapes and like the ones you throw away. That's really bad.
Pretty bad. Just before we move on really quickly from the car cleaning analogy, it made me think, for some reason, it brought me the image. You said, you know, it's going to get dirty the next day. What's the point in cleaning it? Would you say the same for doing a poo?
Hang on.
Wait, ask.
Well, I'm going to need a poo again tomorrow, so I may as well not do a poo today.
No. So I'm saying,
cleaning.
you know, so if you've done a poo and you flush the toilet, and there's a little bit of some stuff still kicking around in the bowl, right? A little skiddy
In the bowl.
yeah,
Right.
and you're like, oh well,
See.
I'm not gonna get the brush and rub that off because I'll just do another poo tomorrow.
I
Right?
think Gen Z are not using the toilet brush.
Is that right?
Really?
I'm Gen Z and I use the toilet
Yeah, I'm Gen
brush.
Z, and I use that toilet brush like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
The outliers here, you care.
I care. Yeah, I care. I think it's important.
You're at the top of Gen Z, though, aren't you? The top of the
Is
yeah,
you're
like,
on
you're
the
the top of
cusp.
Gen Z now. It's like a good example of the year 9.
We're getting off topic. Casper.
Yeah, Casper, you job.
Yeah, we got to hear about your adulting, your money making businesses. Or can I just add? I tried to start when you said about starting a business, decluttering or de-hoarding people's houses. I did once try and start because I had a van, a Christmas tree removal business.
Nice.
And I printed out flyers and I put them on the Tesco Metro message board and put them all around town.
Okay, so briefly, what was your idea about what you would do with the Christmas trees?
Yeah,
£5 Christmas tree removal.
Okay, and what would you do with the trees then?
I'd just like drive them out and like love them.
Just yeet them off a cliff.
I just
I'd fly tip them.
They're biodegradable.
What's the problem? Yeah.
but that is fly
Set 'em on
tipping,
fire.
like,
That's really bad. That's bad.
I didn't do that. What did I do? I think I took it to the tip.
Okay.
Like I was the service that transported it from your home to the right place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
In
good, yeah.
Countryside towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did 2 jobs. Yeah, it didn't really work.
You got 2 Christmas trees.
Yeah, I think I got
£10.
2
You made
little
£10.
jobs.
You made a 10.
Spent on 3 pints of Fosters. Casper, how have you? I don't know why, but I feel like there's like a correlation between drummers and like driving. I don't know why. I presume you were the driver. Is there something in that? Probably because it's a big amount of gear that you have to play and ride around.
Well, like I said, I'm not actually really a drummer. I am officially a drummer.
You get paid for it now.
Yeah, I get paid for it, but I'm professionally a drummer.
Yeah.
But my first instrument was guitar. So you can take all your drummer stereotypes and get them out of here.
Excuse me, that's
But
my prejudice.
I am very stereotypically the band guy that has only ever worked in bars.
Bars.
Yeah. So, well, the first job I had was when I was 16. I got a little Sunday job at the local pub, serving food during the Sunday roast service. And I always got some free stuffing and roast potatoes afterwards, which is great. Really good.
I feel like you've got some funny stories.
Yeah,
from
say
that
the
place.
thing. Pint numbers.
Oh yeah, I mean, so this is like, I grew up in a place called Watnall, which is in the sort of like northern end of Nottingham, and people are pretty like it's sort of close to a lot of like ex-mining towns, so the accent is pretty intense, and I had to like relearn English when I was working there because like someone came in once and was like, "You're right, mate, Doc. Can I have a pint of numbers and a packet of oat dusted?" And I was like, "I'm sorry," and he wanted a pint of Kronenberg.
Yeah.
1664 packet numbers. A packet of oat dusted is a packet of old dusted nuts, dry roasted nuts. And there was a lot of that flying around, a lot of like slang that I didn't understand, but I learned very quickly, and it was very fun.
And you've kept in it.
Yeah.
You're like a service person.
Yeah, so I worked there for like 4 years until I moved into town, and then for a moment I was working at the pub and also at a venue called Bodega in Nottingham.
Yeah.
So I did a 75-hour week once. It was kind of crazy.
Isn't that just the length
Casper's
of a
probably
week?
worked more hours than any of us, like, put together. Like in terms of hours on the job, it's
He
white. Some of
doesn't
the
complain as
Yeah.
well. He doesn't complain.
I don't complain. Yeah, I think the longest week was 75 hours. The longest shift was 18 hours.
What's your philosophy behind all that? In other words, why?
Well, because I wanted to play music as much as I could, and what I preferred to do, what I figured out I preferred to do, was do less days of work, but shove all more hours into those days that I was working. So, like, an ideal week for me was 3 12-hour shifts. I would just rather be like, I'll work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'll have 4 days off.
yeah.
But on those
And
gigging days?
Yes. So, this place was open Monday to Sunday.
Right.
So I'd be able to find cover or take days off. It was like the perfect job for being able to take time off. For
See, I think,
gigging.
like, I get it. Totally makes sense. Does it not take the toll on your mind, though?
You'd think,
He's remarkably resilient.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a really annoying guy.
If there was someone who was made to be on tour, if I could think of one person that is like good at being on tour, it's Casper.
Do you
You're
like rules?
sturdy.
Fine with rules, yeah. Don't love them, don't hate them.
Yeah.
I think they're good to have. But yeah, I just think I've always just sort of been like, I don't have very many feelings or thoughts, basically. So
What
just
do we
like
call you?
boring thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Tiger once said Casper had boring thoughts.
I had
Was-
once confided in Tiger that I do have quite boring thoughts.
It's because you said something really boring. That day you did. But
Yeah.
Casper does have
It's
some
so
interesting
definitely
thoughts.
not
Yeah.
true.
And that could be a strength.
Well, that's the thing. So I've used it. I'm relatively content almost all the time because I'm just like
Yeah.
kind of fine.
Get through it.
Yeah.
You contain multitudes. We just can't
Oh, I do,
find
yeah.
them. No, we can find them.
We found
You're a
them.
very kind and very thoughtful man.
That's
Yeah.
very kind of you to say.
Nice blue eyes.
Thanks. Likewise.
But you do have really boring thoughts.
I do, yeah, my thoughts. Lovely eyes, boring thoughts.
Talking about jobs and these kind of side hustles, I think there's one thing that is definitely sure to happen if you're trying to squeeze in all these things one after the other, is that you make some classic scrapes, some good work, F-ups. And I'm a big fan of hearing those stories. And I'm putting you on the spot here, but are there any particular ones that come up where you've just screwed the pooch and you've got to be left with a fistful of apologies?
I have one I just thought of, I'll tell you. It's while everyone else thinks. So once I was working at a tea room in Nottingham called Lee Rosie's, which has since closed down. It was a lovely place, but I was 17, so that's all you need to know really as to what the quality of my work ethic was like. There was in the basement, there were all like the different teas. They do like loose leaf tea, like about 100 of them. It was lovely, very quaint.
This is sounding. You're painting a really nice.
Well, it was
picture here.
manic as well, because cafes just like that. Like, cafes are the most manic places to work. They're even more manic than a club, I would say, because everyone's sober and caffeinated, and so they are demanding things of you. And everyone's got kids in there, and they're throwing like Cheerios everywhere. And anyway,
Cheerios.
in this, we used to make hot chocolates. We'd make a Belgian hot chocolate and then a white hot chocolate, and there were loads of little there was a big sack of like little white chocolate curls, and I would go down there. This is so gross. I was 17, and with my hand I'd just go down there and go and I don't know why I just did it because it was so yummy. And then I once was doing it and my manager came in and I was like and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, and he was like, "Get back upstairs now." And I was like,
I love these kinds of stories that have the kind of statute of limitations thing. You know, I wonder if you didn't tell anyone for a few years that.
I was so embarrassed. I don't regret it. It was delicious.
That's great. Ever fucked up someone's staircase?
Oh yeah, there's been loads of mistakes. But I don't know, this is a cheesy thing to say, and other joiners would be like, oh yeah, everyone says that, but like the job of joinery is trying to solve problems. Like whether you're undoing someone else's mistakes or you've just made a mistake and then you have to spend an hour just like making it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have messed up a few jobs. Nothing noteworthy. Yeah. No fun stories.
Well,
although so my first ever job was in a pub that was like a half an hour walk from my house in the village that I grew up in, and it's the first and last time I'll ever work in the hospo industry because I was so terrible at that job. And every time I used to work every Sunday, once a week, I used to go in for the Sunday lunch shift, and every single time I go in, it's like the end of every shift, my boss Paul would just be like, Adam, you are so crap at this job. Like, you please, whatever you do in your life. I was about 16. He was like, whatever you do in your life, don't work in hospitality because you are so awful. It was bad.
In a way, that's helpful.
Oh, very helpful. Yeah, I steer clear of that.
I was once told that I made the worst cup of coffee someone had ever had.
Whoa!
And then they told it to the boss in front of me.
Wow.
Well, that's just mean.
I think the same thing happened to me, actually. They taught me how to make like Irish coffees. A lot of people would be ordering them like post meal, and I'd just be messing them up left, right, and centre.
We've got time for one work gaff tale to finish off this show.
Felix has got nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Nothing on the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't really think of much. But there's one. This is kind of statute limitations as well. Maybe there was a great cull happened at one of my jobs, and because basically we were just giving everyone who we knew who came in, we just gave them free drinks. And I got to know everyone really well because it was like
Nottingham's a small city.
I met you like once or twice. And I was like,
and you were like,
don't worry about it.
Here's a bottle of vodka.
Yeah, and then it would be like, it was like to the point where just almost everyone who worked there like knew someone who knew someone, and then everyone was just getting free drinks, all very, very heavily discounted drinks, which it made for an extremely fun environment. And I made quite a lot of friends, but. About 12 people got fired, and I managed to just get a little. We know what's been happening. Yeah, stop that. But they basically needed at least 2 or 3 supervisors to train the next lot of staff that were getting brought in. So it was intense. And a lot of people jumped before they were pushed.
It's good to be naughty sometimes.
Yeah,
just don't get caught.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Divorce.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Casper, Felix, Tiger, Adam. Thank you. And thank you, team. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, folks.
Guys.
Thanks, Libra and Nick. Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.